Welcome to Mediocre Gaming, and today we're playing Deep Rock Galactic. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Zarel. Let's get to it. So today we're doing the deep dive, codenamed Unknown Covert. But before we get to that, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell to be notified of all future episodes as soon as they go live. So let's get into it. Stage 1 of the deep dive has a quarks and crystallized morkite and low oxygen. So crystallized morkite is just going to be like any other mineral. You're going to look for that blue-gray glow and then dig it out with your pickaxe. The quarks, you're going to look for the blue flecks on the sides of the level and then dig in towards that big chunk of rock that's known as an quark. Now, because it is low oxygen, there's only a couple of places where you can resupply. So the air is toxic in the level. You have a small tank of oxygen that lasts about a minute. And the only other places to get that oxygen is either next to the rig, the drop pod, or a resupply pod. You also want to keep your eyes open for Betsy, maybe on this level or another level of the deep dive. Take her out and then basically reprogram her, and then she'll fight on your side for the rest of the level, attacking the bugs, but she does do friendly fire, so be careful. So because it is toxic, you're going to want to stay relatively close. You're going to keep a close eye on that oxygen gauge on the right hand side of the level of the screen, and once it gets to about half, you start thinking about where you're going to be getting your oxygen from. And at the start, it's only the rig. So the big thing to do, the most important thing to do on this level is to get some nitra, enough for at least one resupply. And if you have an area that is far enough away from the rig that has several veins of minerals or a lot of quarks, call in a resupply pod there away from the rig, so then you would have extra resource or a way to resupply that oxygen. Because once it hits zero, you start losing your health rapidly, and then you'll go down, and then you'll need someone to pick you up, and then you'll have to still run for oxygen after that happens. Now, once you have all the quarks and all of the crystallized morkite, then you're ready to move on to the next level. Now, it may be a little bit more difficult to find the quarks or to find the morkite, depending on how your level's set up. There you go. You saw what happens when you start running low on oxygen. Went from full health to basically half health relatively quickly. Now, once you call in the drop pod, it doesn't arrive right away. You have to defend for 2 minutes before it shows up. So I can't really recommend that you run around like I normally do, because you have to resupply that oxygen, and it does take 5 to 10 seconds, depending on how low you are, to resupply your oxygen to full. So it's best to defend an area that has an oxygen supply and then wait for it. Now, this is a good time to point out that the deep dive is a 3-stage raid-like environment where you can play with your buddy Bosco or with up to 3 other players, either pre-made or match-made. Now, you can completely do it by yourself. Just know that it may be more difficult or take longer to complete the deep dive. I would say more difficult this week to do the deep dive solo than with a group. But that's it for stage number 1. Moving on to stage number 2. Alright, stage number 2 of the deep dive has liquid morkite, and it has a black box. But no modifier, so you don't have to worry about low oxygen or anything like that. So the black box, you're going to look for the green glow, and it'll be somewhere in the level. It'll be probably pretty likely, pretty easy for you to find throughout the level. Usually the liquid morkite levels are generally a large dome. They may have a section off to the side, but it's usually either close to a morkite well, or it is somewhere else, kind of out in the open. So it is a zone control. You want as many people inside of the bubble, that green bubble, as possible. The more people that are in there, the faster it goes. The fewer people, the slower it goes. And if nobody's in there, you start losing progress rapidly. If you get down to 0%, then you fail the deep dive and you'll have to start over from stage number 1. But once you complete it, then you can move on with the rest of the level. Now you'll want to prevent the bugs from getting into that bubble, that green bubble that you see. Not so much because they're going to stop your progress, but because they're going to try to stop your life. So it's best to keep them outside of the bubble, if at all possible. If not, then do your best to push them out and maintain that security. Now, of course, liquid morkite means that you're not going to have a mule. Once again, first 2 stages of the deep dive, you do not have a mule. You have to move everything yourself. Find those geysers of blue smoke and flares, and then call in the pump jack, build out the framework and the pipeline to each one, and then start it up and start pumping. Now at some point you're going to have leaks in the pipe, and you're going to have to go out and fix them. If you see the blinking red light, that means that there is a problem with that line, and if you see green, then you're good to go. Once they're all repaired and leak free, then it'll continue on with your progress. Once you're at 100%, call in the drop pod and make your way out. You'll still have to wait about 30 seconds to a minute before the drop pod shows up once you call for it. So be on your toes, as the enemies are going to be coming for you in droves.
Well done. Cargo rocket is returning to orbit.
Now this is a good time to point out that everything carries over with you from one stage to the next. That includes your ammo, your grenades, traversal tools, and whatever's in your pockets. So if you have some nitra or gold and everything's getting a little too crazy, you can't put it into the drop pod or the rig, just know it'll carry over to the next stage. And go ahead and drop it into the drop pod before you leave the 3rd stage, just to make sure that you get credit for it.
Departing in T-minus 3 minutes.
Now, on each stage of the deep dive, you're going to want to keep your eyes open for both gold and nitra. Gold, of course, will give you more credits at the end of the deep dive. Nitra will keep you flush with ammo and health during the deep dive. So they're both very important, just for different reasons. Some people don't even bother with gold because they're like, I'm okay. As you go further along up the ranks, it becomes more and more important. So that's it for stage number 1, or stage number 2. Moving on to stage number 3. Alright, on to the 3rd and final stage of the deep dive, and it is a doozy. This time around we have a dreadnought, alien eggs, and haunted cave. Haunted cave, of course, means that you're going to have a detonator that cannot be killed. It's invulnerable, but it's going to be following someone and trying to take them out with explosive melees. Eggs, you're going to look for that organic material on the side of the level. Dig into it towards a red pulsing light to pull the egg out. And of course, dreadnoughts are the boss-like creatures of Deep Rock Galactic. This time around, we got the Hive Guard, which is the spongiest a dreadnought of them all. And it's kind of like, well, we already have kind of a dreadnought with that ghost detonator that's coming after us. So it is all the important to keep away from that, plus trying to take out the dreadnought. It's going to be a balancing act between keeping your distance from the dreadnought and, of course, taking out all these enemies at the same time. So, very, very important to have a strategy. If you're by yourself, unfortunately, the dreadnought and the ghost detonator are both going to be coming after you.
Eye for an eye.
So that is unfortunate. So if you are in a group of 2 or more, you can have one member of your group be the bait for the detonator. So basically just run around, not too quickly, just out of reach of that detonator's explosion, and keep them around, just going around in a circle in a location that is relatively open so that you aren't going to run into a wall or something like that. So that is the best strategy to deal with it. But if you're by yourself, you can still do it, but you're going to do a lot more running than you would otherwise. Because the detonator is only going to be coming for you, the dreadnought is only going to be coming for you. Bosco can help you out, but he can only do so much. He cannot be the bait. They will never go for Bosco. So, Dreadnought has an immune phase. He calls in the Sentinels, which are mini Praetorians. They're going to try to take you out. You take out those Sentinels. The Sentinels will release a whole puddle of goo that'll slow you down if you end up in it. There they are there. Sentinels, and then you take them out, and then they leave a pile of goo. Stay away from that to maintain your mobility, especially if you're trying to get away from that detonator, that haunted, the haunted cave modifier, or whatever you want to call it. Then it goes into a shielded state. You have to focus on those antennae or fronds. And then it goes into a damage phase where you need to attack from the rear in order to get to it. Unfortunately, you have not a very easy time of doing that when you are solo, because he will continue to try to face towards you, and during the damage phase he will, the Hive Guard will throw out explosive bombs in a radius around it. So try to avoid the bombs. They'll blow you back away from it, hopefully not into the detonator, because that would be a 1-2 punch of you going down for the count.
Light for me, please.
You can see how much excitement there is doing this solo. Although you do more damage, you are the star of the show, so to speak, as all the bugs are going to be coming after you. Not just the Dreadnought and the Sentinels and the Unspeakable Horror, but also any other bugs that show up. The swarms, plus any of the bugs that show up when you dig up the eggs, because they don't like it when you dig up the eggs. So they are going to be coming after you. Even if you don't spawn a swarm, you're going to spawn at least some enemies. But do as much damage to the Dreadnought as quickly as possible during the damage phase, so that you have fewer cycles that you have to deal with.
Where is that?
Once the Dreadnought's taken out, move on with the level. Once you have all of the alien eggs, quickly call in the drop pod and get out.
Job well done.
And that's it.
Button on the
I hope you
mirror is
enjoyed this
activated.
video.
Time to
Be
move
sure
on.
to check us out on social media, and thank you for liking,
Sending in the
commenting,
drop pod.
and
Starting
subscribing.
the countdown. This is
And
it.
we'll see you next time.
I'm taking
Swarm! I repeat, swarm! Drop pod arrived. Mule is returning to LZ. Drop pod departing in T-minus 5 minutes.
ziploid up. Shields ready again. Let's show them some courage.
Supply pod requisitioned. Launching now. Supplies are on the way.
Get into cover. Go, go, go. The resupply is here.
Stand back. Supply pod inbound.
Time to restock.
That's one for the books. Retrieving escape pod.
Time to restock.
The mule's been successfully retrieved. Make it snappy, team. The drop pod won't hang around forever.
Stand before us.